Welcome to the Doing the Doolittle podcast with me, Jack, Rhys, and Freya. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be breaking down Doolittle, the album by the Pixies, and going through each track and talking to you about it. We hope you enjoy.
So the first track we're going to be listening to is Debaser.
That was the first song, Debaser, which is, as we've just found out, based around the events of a film.
Yeah, called The Andalusian Dog, but in French.
Which is linked with the lyrics in the chorus, as well as the concepts of the actual song itself, including slicing eyeballs. So the lyrics appear slightly less mental than at first listen.
Slightly less abstract than you might think when you first hear it.
Exactly.
But still, if you haven't seen the film, which we haven't, maybe still a bit mental.
Yep.
It's got some good guitars though.
It has.
The guitar riffs are very catchy and nice.
Yeah.
Very well recorded.
The snare sound is nice.
The snare
it's
sound
quite
is
snappy.
Nice. Yeah, it's like a piccolo snare or something. There's nice percussion, like tambourine and stuff that comes in. That's pretty cool.
I think the guitar sound, you hear that a lot, like even in like modern indie stuff.
Yeah.
It's like iconic
Timeless.
guitar, really.
Yeah. And the like double guitar work as well is quite cool. Like as well, the switching between clean and distorted, like that.
Yeah.
Is like reminiscent of what Nirvana would do.
Yeah, I guess so.
Just chuck on a distortion pedal, and then scream Debaser at the top of your lungs.
What do you reckon, Freya?
I don't know.
Anything to add?
I'm not keen on the vocals.
No.
It just doesn't really fit.
No.
No, because everything else just seems like really chill. And then the vocals are just like sort of screamed.
Maybe that's a statement.
It doesn't sound good.
Maybe they're trying to go against the grain.
I don't know.
Well, it was the late 80s,
Yeah.
so there wasn't many people doing...
Shouty vocals.
There were people doing shouty vocals, but not behind or in front of... like, indie guitar.
Fair enough. Yeah. Anything else from anyone?
The bass is bouncy.
It is.
It doesn't, like, hold a note. It's very, like, moving bass line sort of thing.
Yeah. And it's not much attack on it either. It's all like...
Yeah.
You can't really hear the strum.
Yeah, it's all low end, basically.
Yeah.
The instrumentation is actually pretty good. I like the sound of everything. The vocals have that room reverb on them, which is a bit niche, I'll say, compared to like everything else, which is pretty dry. And then you just have the room reverb on the vocal that's always on it. Apart from I don't think the backing vocals have it.
No, they're dry, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're quite like they're
still spaced out, but they're not as like in your face like room reverby.
Yeah. And they don't really like harmonise with the lead vocalist either. They just
they just
like,
do their own thing. Well, it's hard to harmonise when he's
true.
screaming.
It's not true, but like...
Yeah, they have their own little thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the contrast between the shouty vocals and the like more, traditional like melodic vocals, I guess. Even though it is just like two notes. But I mean, it makes a nice change from the screaming mental hospital vocals. It sounds like he's playing a character, I guess you would say. It doesn't sound like, it necessarily fits the genre. It's like a lot more punky than you would expect for like the melodic and guitar lines and stuff. And they're quite happy sounding instrumentals surrounded by someone screaming.
True. Which probably again feeds into whatever that film's about.
Yeah. There we go.
Coming up next, we'll be listening to Tame.
That was an abrupt ending.
Go on, Freya, you can start us off this time.
Me?
Go on.
Well, I preferred the vocals in this one because it was like very different. Rather than like shouting throughout the whole thing, it was just like whispering to start off with before it properly gets into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very dynamic.
It was.
Like from the chorus to the verse. Where in the verse it would have like the bouncy bass riff again. It was like carrying it.
Yeah.
And then in the chorus, as well in the chorus, like the rhythm is like a bit like, I don't know, tangled, I guess.
Yeah.
Because there's like delayed on like a clean guitar by the sounds of it and like an acoustic guitar. that like bounces about over like the drums, which are like very stable. So it's like marrying like chaotic like guitar stuff, but keeping the drum rhythm like stable throughout, which is again contrast, which seems to be a running theme throughout this track.
It's a bit heavier than the first song, wasn't it? In terms of like darker, I guess. And like I think some of the guitars were detuned at the start. It sounded like some of the notes were a bit, or they were just playing like off key, I guess. It sounded slightly flat, I think.
Yeah. Maybe.
And then there's that bit like with the chorus, so it sounded like it was almost like a siren sort of thing. I was imagining when I was listening to it. It had like the two tones and they like bouncing between them.
The drum sound changes as well. Like they add that room reverb on the snare.
Yeah.
When it's like all sparse with just the drums and the bass, and then when everything comes in, it tightens up again with the shouted room vocals.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a lot of different takes of him just screaming.
Yeah.
Which
There's
makes
that like breathing bit as well, wasn't it?
yeah. That bit was cool, I guess, with the harmony, if you want to call it that, of the female whispered stuff coming in as well.
Yeah.
The breaths. And then it ended very abruptly.
It did.
It wasn't as catchy as the bass song.
No.
No, it wasn't as melodic either, was it? It was just like...
Yeah, the only melodic bit really was the bass.
Yeah,
but even that was like 2 notes, basically. Yeah.
That was a good impression.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a very short track as well.
Yeah.
I think that's a running thing on this album, is like a lot of very short tracks that have their own sound. True. So it's very chaotic again. So I guess that ties in with the rest of like the actual contents of the songs, which are quite chaotic.
I'm wondering whether like the whole album's like the concept of that film rather than
just the first, rather than just Debaser, perhaps.
Potentially. Should we go into song 3 then?
Let's go into song 3. Next up is Wave of Mutilation.
Another short and sweet one.
Yeah.
That reminded me of there's a song by Suede called Animal Nitrate. It gave me like Suede vibes, that song. It's a lot more like tighter with the rhythm in terms of like the guitars and the drums actually
married
together that time. And like the bass was more like punchy because it was like just like the tighter bass sound rather than like in the first song it was all low end, wasn't it? But that time it was more like plucky, I guess.
As well, the guitars shined a lot more in that than they did in Tame, where they basically just acted to add to the distortion in the chorus. They were a lot more like harmonic, and they basically just outlined the chords more than anything, and gave it harmonic motion that the vocals could then do a melody over. And with the vocals, it was less shouty as well, and it was
hidden.
Huh?
It was sort of hidden.
Hidden. The
yeah,
vocals.
but like behind the drums and guitar.
Yeah, it wasn't as prominent. Like the first songs, it was all about the screamy vocals, wasn't it? Whereas that time, it was all about instrumentation, really.
But yeah, the vocals were less shouty and more melodic as well, which is a nice change.
There's another bit of that room reverb that you like.
Yeah, that same room reverb. That's probably what ties all the tracks together, is that one room reverb more than anything else.
So far, definitely.
That and the snare sound.
And to be fair, the basic instrumentation is like, it's 2 guitars, a drum, a vocalist, and a
bass drum.
A drum. Just a kit.
Just a snare.
No, a drummer, and then...
Yeah, there isn't much else happening other than like a tambourine.
They're not like whacking out, like some albums you get like, would be like random like violins or whatever. Yeah. But they've just stuck with the band. Like, that's all that's in it so far. At least, anyway.
There's also the vocals that pedal on like the one Wave of Mutilation lyric during the chorus, which is again a running theme between the other tracks. Like Tame, he just shouts Tame in the chorus. Debaser, he shouts Debaser, it echoes Debaser. So it seems like a lot of it is almost like earwormy. Yeah. It's like trying to get it stuck in your head.
I think that Wave of Mutilation, that was like the closest, that was like the closest thing so far to like a mainstreamish song that they could
Yeah.
have released as like a single or whatever.
Yeah, it was less fringe.
Yeah, it was a lot more like down the middle.
Yeah,
sort of,
traditional.
like indie rock,
Hmm.
like 80s indie.
And it had a nice like wash to end it as well,
Mm.
instead of Tame, which just ended like dead
Yeah.
into the next track. But yeah, again, contrast between songs, which is a running theme.
Yeah.
But there you go. Anything else? No.
Okay, then on to track 4. No, track 5, is it? No, track 4.
Track 4. The next track we're going to be listening to is I Bleed.
I mean, like again, that was completely different.
Yeah.
That was like almost psychedelic, wasn't it?
Yeah, especially with like the bends in the guitars.
Yeah, and it was like the tempo, like the way it sort of pulled as it went
Yeah.
along. It was as if like it was like slowing down. It wasn't really slowing down.
It was
but
like
felt,
wavering.
It felt like it was definitely slowing down.
Yeah. Again,
Almost.
the bass line basically carrying the rhythm with the drums the entire
Mm.
time, with that repetitive pattern again.
There's that bit with like the guitars where like they sort of like they came in like in the distortion. It kept like building up and
Mm.
stuff, and it was like I don't know. I suppose from the title and then the way that song plays out, it's almost as if he's like bleeding out, I guess.
Yeah.
Like that sort of vibe of like with the tempo slowing and all like the
Yeah.
crazy sort of sounds
Like
building up.
seasick.
Yeah.
It's like nauseous sounding.
Mm. And then there was 3 vocalists this time.
What's
Yeah.
that?
There was the woman
Kim.
and then the main geezer and
Frank.
then the normal backing vocal.
Is the guy called Frank? Frank
Don't know.
Black? Let me have a look. I think his name's
Yeah,
Frank.
there was definitely 3 vocalists.
I only had 2.
There was the girl at the start.
Yeah,
Singing
she
with
was
the
good,
main
but I
geezer.
didn't like the guy speaking over it.
No, and then there was the normal backing vocalist came in as well on top.
It is Frank Black. It's the guy, and then Kim... something.
Cattrall.
No, not Kim Cattrall.
Kim Kardashian.
Not Kim Cattrall. Kim Deal.
Anything, Freya?
Hmm?
Anything?
No.
No. Nothing
Anything
at
to say about
all.
the vocals?
That entire song.
Anything to say about the vocals?
But I already said that I didn't like the guy singing over it. Like, the female vocals were good, but it just didn't really work. I didn't think it worked when the guy was talking over
How
it.
about when they had like the trailing like melodies like near the end?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
I liked that bit. What?
What was your favourite bit of that song, Freya?
My favourite bit?
The bit where the guy stopped whispering.
Yeah, but then he came back in with it.
Yeah.
So.
I like the bit where he went like, I bleed.
Yeah, that was weird. I think that was they had pitch bending on
No, I
that,
don't think
didn't
so. I don't think it was. I'm pretty sure it
I
wasn't.
thought it
Actually,
was
I
like
think you're wrong.
down.
I think you're very wrong.
they? Okay, that's fine. That is allowed. Can we listen to it again and then we can...
Yeah, sure. No.
Nobody knows.
He's just putting on a voice.
I thought they'd like put it down then.
No, I don't think so.
There was 3 vocalists, wasn't there? Because I thought there was, but now I'm starting
I
to
think it's
question
only 2.
myself.
I only had
Damn.
2.
I think again it's just Frank and Kim.
I'd like to redact my statement about the extra vocalist. I clearly don't know what I'm talking about.
But yeah, there are melodies that aren't like fully developed. They just like sort of trail off into the distance. Like,
Yeah.
there's a hint at a melody and then it just sort of drops out.
Yeah.
Chorus is very chaotic again. But they add in like textures to just sort of add to the
Yeah.
chaotic aspect of it. With that repeated one phrase again over the chorus.
Again, though, the drums are the consistent bit, aren't
Yeah.
they?
The drums
The
and the
same-
bass.
The same sound, the same sounds, and
Yeah.
holding that, trying to hold it all together.
Yeah.
Next one, I guess.
Yeah.
Coming up next is Here Comes Your Man.
Strong ending again.
Well, I mean, that was a lot. That was, again, a bit more like Wave of Mutilation. It was like a bit more down the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, that one was even more
that was
poppy.
very traditional.
Very, very traditional.
The
I even had
structure was basically cut and dry.
yeah,
Like, I mean, I appreciate it.
it was really nice.
It is very nice. No wonder it's the most listened to song of the album.
I like the guitar solo as well.
Yeah.
That's a dying art, that is.
Yeah. It's also quite muted as well. Like, it's not very in your face, like, this is no guitar solo. It's very appropriate.
Yeah.
It doesn't really take the limelight. It
Yeah.
just sort of blends in with the background, adds a nice texture.
What did you think of the bass line, Freya?
The bass line.
Yeah. The bass line.
The bass line.
Fine then.
Which bit was that?
The melody then.
Oh.
The
Well, like the
guitar
catchy
bit.
and like upbeat bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
What did you like about it?
That it was upbeat and catchy.
It was clean.
Reese found it catchy as well. He
I
was
did.
singing along.
It was.
It
It was like it was a lot cleaner. There's like no, there wasn't really any distortion on any of the guitars.
The only distortion there was like the pad guitars in the background, which
Yeah.
were just strumming out the chords.
It was
But they were low enough so that they didn't, take over with distortion.
no,
But it still, reminded you that you're not listening to a surf rock band.
no, true. It,
Uh,
like you said, there's a Beach Boys
Yeah.
sort of.
It's that, like, I guess what is it? A Strat on like the bridge pickup
Yeah.
with like some spring reverb on it or something.
Mm.
It's like Mizzaloo by Dick Dale, but just not.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but it's definitely got that surf rock influence on the
Yeah.
guitar, like main melody.
It's a lot more happier and upbeat.
Yeah. But yeah, again, contrast with the rest of the songs that we've heard so far.
It's a bit more repetitive.
Mm.
The rest have sort of like moved around a lot, whereas that one was like set a chord structure and stick to it all the way through.
The only real change that they had was before the last chorus, when it just played the guitar riff, and then everything came on like the 3 or the 4 or something.
Yeah.
When I did that.
Yeah.
I'll just
Just
sing
like
them
that.
all. I'll just sing them all.
Stuck in my head all day now. It was one of those. That
That's
do
a
get
good
stuck
thing,
in
though,
your
isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's
You want
all
it
of
to
the
get
songs.
stuck
though.
in your
If you have
head.
an entire album of songs that are meant to get stuck in your head, at what point does it stop working? Is there a limit to how many songs you can have stuck in your head?
I don't know. A lot of these get stuck in my head. So
Yeah,
Really? That's
Yeah.
the only one that's so far.
there you go. Then.
really?
Yeah.
Wave of Mutilation. I can hear that in my head very
I can
clearly.
hear just Debaser!
Okay, yeah. What's the next one?
The next song we'll be talking about is Dead.
So that one was like the vocals took very much a backseat in that one.
Mm-hmm.
And there was that weird like filter on it, so it sounded like it was coming through a telephone or something.
Yeah. It's like a megaphone almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminded me of Tool actually. It
Was quite.
There's a song on Undertow called Disgustipated, where there is a spoken word section all with that like same effect on it.
Right.
And it just sounds very reminiscent of something like that, especially with like the primal like drum sound as well at the start. With like the bass like coming in with a little passage, just holding the rhythm together again. It reminded me of that a lot. As well, it reminded me of Maneskin, which is, I know, strange, but only with the guitar playing in unison with the vocals. It reminded me of modern sort of like poppy, rocky sort of approaches to like some like getting a lyric stuck in your head basically.
Yeah.
It's like having guitars play in unison with it, and then and like having it like hammer home whatever he's saying.
I thought that was a bit weird, to be honest. The
It
way
was.
it was, and the way it was mixed, because you couldn't really hear what he was saying over the guitar playing the same note.
Those dissonant bends as well on the guitar. There's lots of them. Again, just over the pad of like the harmonic like guitars and bass and stuff, holding everything together with just a dissonant guitar thing.
Any thoughts, bro?
I feel like the drums had a more like prominent part in this one compared to all the other ones. Like probably because like as you said, the vocals stepped back a bit, so the drums are sort of like filling in that space.
Yeah.
They're a lot more primal, like I said.
It was a bit more stripped back, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. And there was a couple of changes in it as well, like more so than there was before. Like there was a lot more sections that you could like look at and be like, oh, that sounds a lot different to like what came before. Whereas a lot of the other tracks, it is sort of like the same sort of sound the entire time.
Yeah, there's like a couple of times where like it sort of cleaned up, like it like all the guitars would clean up, and then there'd be like a couple of chords, and then it'd go back down again. It's quite weird. It's like a different song was trying to break out of the song, if you know what I mean. It was interesting. It was a hell of a lot less mainstream again.
And that came straight after Here Comes Your Man. So
to bring you back down again.
Chuck you back in the deep end.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There's not really that many themes like popping out so far, really.
There's like it's just little snippets that you can like recognise, like the snare sound, just the overall drum sound, I think.
Yeah, the drums sound like it's the same take every time almost.
And the bass isn't doing much other than just like playing a riff at like 120 BPM.
Yeah. There was I suppose like the first few songs it was like a darker bass sound, and now it's sort of moved into like a lighter, more like
bouncier.
Yeah, bouncier bass. But like there's very little in terms of like continuation. It's all very
original.
But I suppose that's like if the album's based off that film of like the weird man, then I guess it's like the guys like cut people's eyelids open. I imagine it's like I suppose like mentally unstable.
Yeah, maybe.
So like the emotions of the album are supposed to be a bit unstable. And
the name as well. The next track is Monkey's Gone to Heaven, so another animal reference. Since Tame.
With the Doolittle.
Yeah. It's called Doolittle, so animals should probably be involved somewhere, you'd imagine.
Yeah. Why is it to do with animals?
You know Dr. Doolittle?
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I don't know what you'd have to ask.
You'd have to
Pixies why they wrote.
Ask Frank Black.
It is a bit of a weird album so far.
It is.
But it's not unenjoyable. It's just not very
fringe. It's just fringe.
Yeah. Alright then.
We will now be listening to Monkey's Gone to Heaven.
So that one was we've swapped back again. We keep U-turning between down the middle and very, very fringe. But like that one was more like soft again, I guess. I like it was a bit more stripped back than say like Here Comes Your Man. It was just sort of like pretty laid back.
Yeah,
I like
go on.
The vocals have sort of calmed down a bit now. They've gone from the screaming to like whispering, and now they're just sort of like
apart from The Devil is 6 and God is 7 bit.
Yeah,
but throughout most of it was, back to
like the harmonies with the chorus and stuff.
Yeah,
like traditional harmonies.
Yeah, and there's cello.
There's
a cello that was throughout basically the entire song. That was a nice instrument change. I also heard some like plucky thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether that was just like pizzicato or something, or whether it was like, I don't know, what they called xylophone. Or like, what's the other one? The xylophone,
the
what's
wooden
the metal one?
The xylophone's the wooden one.
Yeah, what's
the metal one?
Wait, no, is it?
Isn't it? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it is.
The wooden one is... Yeah, the wooden one is... What's it called?
Is it
a marimba?
Kalimba, that's the one. No, marimba.
Marimba's like do-do-do-do-do. That's wooden blocks.
Oh yeah.
They're all similar.
Yeah. Melodophone, is that a thing?
Yeah, that's the pipe. That's one with pipes, isn't it?
Yes. Anyway, something like that.
Boom. GCSE music. Completed it, mate.
Or like a Celeste or something. It sounded like some new instrumentation, which is I'm thankful for, because I've it's been very stable with the distorted guitars and stuff. They had like the guitar bends again and that.
Yeah.
Except they weren't, I guess, like semitone apart. They were like going up to the tone or to the unison, but so it wasn't as dissonant, which I'm happy about, because the dissonant stuff can really grate on your ears after a while.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have a couple songs throughout the album, which is like, I know, brings you back like to normality from the chaotic, like screeching guitars and vocals.
It sort of like started aggressive and now it's sort of easing off slowly, isn't
Yeah.
it, as the album goes on.
The bass riff repetitive again, very driving again, like this steady 8th note pulse. Extended chorus there was after the first chorus where they carried on that like melody from the end of the chorus into the guitars, into the harmonised guitars. That was nice.
Mm-hmm.
That was more traditional again, of like reminiscent of like 80s pop, I guess. Reminds me of. Like almost like Summer of '69. It reminds me of. Like
Right.
Bryan Adams. I don't know why. That's what comes to mind.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, spoken vocals again. Which, you know, I feel like the spoken vocals is probably what makes it seem so like ambiguous as far as like the emotion goes throughout them.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you could put one emotion on each track. Like you can say that's a happy track, that's a sad track.
No.
Like, I feel like the easiest one for that is like Here Comes Your Man.
Yeah.
It's like a pretty uplifting, bouncy, like happy track. But then that is like,
That's it.
yeah, it's like that. Monkey's Gone to Heaven was very, I don't know, ambiguous, I guess.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the tracks are like that, where with the screamed vocals over the top of like the happy, uplifting bass riff
Yeah.
and
it's
guitar work, it's very like at ends, I guess. So it's a bit confusing as far as what emotion you're meant to get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have to say on that, I think.
Fair enough. You got anything? Any words of wisdom?
Oh, I don't have words of wisdom. I don't like the spoken vocals. Because have we even heard him actually sing properly?
Yeah,
Have we?
you sing properly on
It's
Here Comes Your
mainly-
Man.
And in the chorus and that.
Yeah, and in the chorus.
Well, it's mainly just like spoken vocals or like shouting them.
Yeah, I do.
Wave of
I-
Mutilation as well. He sang
Yeah.
it.
It's not like he's not having to like go out of his way to like nail a. There's not been any like huge vocal melodies, I guess.
No.
It's all been like pretty basic stuff,
Yeah.
or him shouting.
And it seems like when stuff needs to go into the higher register, it just passes it over to Kim Deal, and then she goes and does
That's why
like two
she's,
notes in a harmony. And yeah. Have we done on that one?
I think so.
What's the next one?
The next track on the album is Mr. Greaves. The rhythm of that was interesting.
Yeah.
Because it had like the sort of like reggae sort of vibes at
Yeah.
the start, and then right towards the end it had like the complete stop, and then it came back slower. And
Yeah,
then,
like swung.
and then stopped again, and then
When
stag-
swung, it stayed swung though,
Yeah.
but it was
There's like the two breaks, and
Yeah.
then they came back with different rhythms.
yeah. I like
Or
the amount
tempos.
of changes in that.
Yeah, that was like a smorgasbord of genres.
Yeah, because it starts out with the reggae, and then the chorus switches to like almost punky,
Yeah.
and then goes to the solo vocal, goes out of that into the like slowed down like do 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 do
Yeah.
do, like triplet swung thing, and then stops again, and then does that again but like slightly slower, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But
The bass wasn't anywhere near as prominent in that, was it?
no, that was very like vocal driven and guitar driven.
Mm.
Yeah, like that muted like doing deck 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 thing basically stayed throughout, but it just played at different speeds, I guess.
Mm.
Like the punk was like ding 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 did it, but you know, again there wasn't really much to keep that sort of grounded, I guess,
No,
compared to the other tracks where there was one thing that stayed the same the entire time.
nothing did in that.
Yeah,
one.
with that nothing stayed the same pretty much. Yeah, the drums as well were a bit more, you know, they changed more.
Yeah, there's that big fill, wasn't there, before
yeah.
the break of the.
With the arm motions.
Like the cymbals.
Yeah. I liked the feedback as well on the guitars.
Mm.
That was very nice. Was that track or was that the previous track? I don't know.
You can always
It's one
cut
of
it off.
Yeah. No,
Whichever track it was on, it was
no, it
not.
was. Well, maybe. I don't know.
They're all blended
There's
into
good,
one.
yeah,
now.
they are sort of. It was starting to hear the album. It was a whole, I guess.
Having slugged off the fact nothing links the tracks, we now can't work out which one's
But yeah, I feel like that was more fringe, but in a better way.
Yeah, that was
I
like
guess that's more palatable than just like scream vocals. The amount of changes in it.
Yeah, it was like they were trying a new genre rather than trying to
like
make
fusion.
something new that doesn't
exactly.
exist.
Yeah, it's like fusion almost.
Yeah.
It reminds me a bit of prog. Just a little though. It's not too proggy, but I mean like the amount of changes in genre is like reminiscent a bit of like Dream Theater, I guess, where they can swap on like that, and then you can in a completely different feel.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I get that. Anything to add, Freya?
Not really, but you keep saying fringe and I have no idea what it means.
Like it means on the edge.
On the edge of the mainstream.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's like not mainstream.
Oh, right. Why did it make me feel like I was on a beach at the start?
Because it was reggae.
Yeah.
Oh.
There you go, that's your...
Yeah, and then, no, but then like
It
10
made me-
seconds later I'm in like a bad dream.
There you go.
It's
Yeah.
weird.
That's
There you go. Just describe every track like that.
We're already like 8 tracks in.
No, I know, but from now on,
For the rest of the album.
take us on the journey that you went through throughout the song.
That's the sort of thing we need to be talking about, though, isn't it? How it makes you feel.
I guess.
So that can be your angle, I
Yeah,
guess.
so you felt like you were on a beach.
And then I'm
you
in a
had
bad
dream while sunbathing.
We just kept
Fever
changing.
dream.
It did.
It's
I
like
like that one though.
that's good.
A lot of the songs seem to be about death. Oh my god, it's a concept album.
It is a concept. I did tell you it was a concept album.
Oh my god.
After song 1. If only we'd done a bit of research before we started this podcast.
And now we'll be listening to Crackety Jones. How long was that? It was
Like a minute. Minute and 10.
Jesus.
My internal clock's all over the shop. That was 14 seconds.
Yeah, that was.
Someone else.
Yeah, that was very. Not even upbeat. That was just like. I don't know, very upbeat to the point where it was just
wasn't.
sort of like.
It was
It's just punky, I guess.
Yeah. I felt like we were going like backpedaling towards the start of the album again with that one. That was like a bit of a step back, really. It was like very strange.
Yeah. There's a tremolo effect on the guitar in the chorus.
There is a lot of
It's
heavy
very
processing again.
seasick. Shouted vocals again. Repeated vocal phrase again in the chorus. Sounded like a rabid dog. Vocalist.
Or
And what are they called?
Chen
Is it?
Evolucia. Chen Evolucia.
Debaser! Anyway. Anything to add, Freya?
Something like that, it's just so fast. It's like they tried to cram everything into just 1 minute. And then it just stopped like really abruptly.
I mean, it is called Crackety Jones. I assume it's maybe meant to, I don't know, make you think that you're on crack while you're listening to it. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. If you've got anything else to add, bet you've got a mic.
No.
What could crackety mean other than on crack?
True.
Go on.
Go on now.
Go on, Freya.
But all of it.
I know, it says like...
Just sum it up.
Where did you feel
It's
like
about
you
a
were?
college roommate.
I feel like I was in a crack den.
With
Crackety Jones doing like
Jones.
saying his name over and over again, running
Jones,
circles
Jones,
around.
Jones, Jones.
Crackety Jones.
It's about his college roommate.
Yeah.
Did he do crack?
It didn't say that.
Was his name Jones?
It must have been.
Especially
No?
its internet.
He didn't do crack and his name was like Philip.
It's about how it can freak him out living with someone.
Right.
So he was freaked out.
It
He's
doesn't say anything
cracking
about
at the-
crack.
He's cracking at the seams.
Why is it called Crackety
Because he's
Jones?
cracking at the seams, mate. His brain is like...
It says it's a big mosh pit song though.
Is it?
mosh pit song. I couldn't mosh to that. I just mean,
Well, it says it is.
everyone's like
Yeah.
I'm just like, what?
I guess it's just because it's fast.
I suppose. Wave of Mutilation. That's a moshy song.
Now, I'll tell you what, Mr. Greaves.
Mr. Reeves. That's right, it's
Dun, dat, da, 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 da.
elbowed him in the head. What's the next one?
Next up is track 10, La La Love You.
What did you reckon to that, Freya?
No, I like the melody. It seemed really happy.
Yeah.
What, in the chorus?
Well, throughout.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like, he kept changing sometimes. And it's like another one of those that, like, that it gets stuck in your head.
Yeah. It's like they had an idea for a song, but they couldn't work out the rest of it. So they're just like, you know what? We'll just record what we've got. You know what I mean? Like, there was...
Yeah, it's not much development, is there?
There was, like, the chord progression, which was similar to Here Comes Your Man. And then, like, the talking. And, like, the I love you bits. And then, like, very similar drums all the way through. Like, there wasn't really any movement, like you said. And it just sort of, like... I don't know, I felt like it sort of passed me by. Like, there wasn't really anything going on to grab my attention.
I guess it's maybe just given the name of the song and, like, the wolf whistles and stuff, and the I love you spoken vocals, it's probably meant to be something like, I don't know, being high on love or something. So, like, you're sort of, like, you're in a daze sort of thing.
I guess.
I mean, the vocal, the main vocal stuck on a new character in the chorus. Like the timbre changed a lot from like the screaming Andalusia to the more like further back at his throat, sort of like, I guess, like Tom Jones,
like mellow,
Barry White,
you mellowed.
yeah,
Yeah.
sort of, I guess, again to fit the sort of not sure seductive is the right word, but like. You know what I mean? Like, like that sort of vocal fits that sort of subject matter, I guess.
True.
As well, the like spoken "I love yous" remind me of a Kate Bush song. Remind me of "Waking the Witch" from Hounds of Love, released in 1980 something. So it came out before this, so that could be influenced. But also it's just sort of sampled vocals, so I mean it could be anything, could be the influence.
Yeah.
It specifically reminded me of that because it was different voices every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it's sort of very like bass line the entire time. Yeah.
There was like the few bits for like the bending guitars that would come in and play like 2 or 3 notes and like maybe like little phrases.
Yeah,
but
there was sounded like "Dreams" by Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, at the start.
Yeah, and
But
that,
I mean,
that there was that and the boo de doo de doo. That those are the
Yeah.
main two like melodies, I guess, throughout the entire thing.
how long was that one? A couple of minutes.
3, 4. Oh no, 2:41.
Yeah. I felt they could have made that another 1 minute one.
Yeah,
There wasn't really that
much
to it.
development. No. Anything
Um,
else to say, Freya? No.
To the next one.
What's this one called?
The next track will be number 13, Baby.
And that's the first fade out.
It is. It's quite a long fade out as well. It's like a 10-second fade out.
Longer than that.
Thoughts, Freya?
It just sort of seemed like it dragged on a bit and they didn't really know where to take it. So it just got a bit boring after a while.
Yeah, there was that like long bit, wasn't there, where it was just all instruments, but they were all just kept playing the same thing. Like there wasn't really, it was just like bar after bar.
The
Repeat.
chorus was alright though.
Yeah.
I like the chorus.
I thought it was nice to listen to, but it was just not enough development again.
No.
But I suppose that's why we're getting towards the end of the album, because of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just,
But that one went on for longer than the other ones.
yeah.
That one was 3:51, is it? 3 minutes 51 is the longest song.
The
Christ.
vocal reminded me of like a sports team. They're like an indie band.
Mm. Yeah, there was weird vocal timbres in that. He like changed to like almost sound like a baby. It reminded me of like Axl Rose a bit. Doing some bits just without like the distortion on his voice. It's in like that same place, or like Muse, I guess. So yeah, he played around a lot more with his actual vocal placement in that. But then towards the end, it just dropped out and became like that repetitive like vocal, the repetitive instrumental. But there was like one change in time signature, which is like other than like changing to a triplet feel, it's like the first time that's happened. Because it had 3 bars of 4/4 and a bar of 2/4.
Wow.
So then when you hear like, oh my god, something new's happening, but then it stays on that for like another 2 minutes. So again, it doesn't really develop much from there. And a fade out, which we haven't heard yet before on the album.
Yeah. The bass has pretty much fallen out
Yeah.
at this point. Like there's no, like the last few tracks, it's been like getting less and less prevalent. I feel like the mood of the album's changed a lot as well. We've gone from like the darkness at the start. There's like still the odd track that's like throwing you back towards it, but they're not as manic.
Yeah. It's like, what's the word? Maybe getting more tame.
Slightly. But also not. Because like Crackety Jones or whatever it is. Crackety Jones was not tame in any way.
There we go.
Anything for
No,
anything,
I
Jack?
love it.
Done, Jack? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sound.
Right, what's the next song called? Next up is There Goes My Gun.
Oh,
Ooh, that was a powerful ending.
that was a lot more enjoyable, I think, than the last couple. For me,
Yeah.
at least.
Not the start, it wasn't.
What with the
Oh.
feedback?
Yeah, it was horrible.
I like that.
I like
Oh,
the
I-
feedback.
I like the bending in the guitars as well. When they're like playing the chord and
Yeah. The seasick guitars are back with the tremolo on them, except
Yeah.
it's a lot slower now, or like, a lot longer.
Yeah.
So it's like, instead of like,
And there's like the room reverb shouts were
yeah,
back in
those
the
are back
song.
again. Reminiscent of Debaser.
Yeah.
We're back again to Debaser.
We've gone full circle.
Not quite yet, we've still got 3 tracks left. The vocals again in the chorus. Harping on the name of the song again.
Yeah.
Between Frank and Kim again. Again.
Again.
Yeah. And then abrupt ending again.
They're together for the end, and
Yeah.
Boom.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Like that.
Yeah. Anything for
It just seemed like they didn't really know where to go with the lyrics, so they just kept saying, "There goes my gun." Like, well, like
Yeah.
they could have
He was
added a
saying
bit
stuff
more
in the
to it.
verses, but you can't really hear it.
No.
No.
It's the shouty reverb vocals again.
Yeah.
Is that it for that track? This has got a lot of listens.
I feel like we're getting more negative as the podcast goes on because we're just getting more tired.
How many listens does this one got? 116 million?
What? This one song?
This one song?
Track 13 is "Hey."
Wow. Started out a lot groovier.
It did. It is a genre change from everything else.
Yeah. No drums at the start, which is
No.
again another change.
It was very different.
It was calm at the start.
Yeah.
It was like sort of like Rolling Stones, sort of like blues rock sort of
Yeah.
vibe. Very groovy.
Hmm.
There was like I like that bit where there's like the drum fill and the guitar followed through with the rest of it. And then there's like the solo bits for like the unison bends that you mentioned.
Yeah. The guitar bends are back as well.
Yeah.
The duo vocals are back as well
Yeah.
in the chorus.
The sort of punchier bass line
Yeah.
back as well.
The bass has come back to the forefront.
Anything, Freya?
Not really. Other than it's just very different to all the other ones that we listened to.
Fair enough.
And that's the second most listened to track on the album, I think.
I can see
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, behind Here Comes Your Man.
Blimey.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
a
the
good
bass.
track to be fair.
It is.
It's probably my favourite one for for a fair few tracks.
Yeah. It's been a bit dire since La La Love You.
Crackety Phil, Crackety Jones,
Crackety Jones.
Crackety Jones sort of like made me a bit sad. But now I'm back.
Oh.
Maybe sad's the wrong word.
You know, the feeling that song gave me is like, do you know when you die in Black Ops Zombies and it plays a that thing? Reminds me of that.
Fair enough.
There you go. That's from a Pixie song, I think.
Could be. The vibe it gave me was like I said, like Rolling Stones, like sort of like almost like cowboys and that sort of thing. That was the blues.
Yeah. It was a lot groovier at the start.
Yeah.
You like had to latch on to the rhythm, which I liked, rather than it just like throwing you in with da 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 da.
Yeah.
Which is what it's been like for most of them.
The guitars were like cleaner again. It's a very strange album in terms of like the amount of it's like they couldn't make their mind up what sort of album they wanted.
Yeah.
There's like so many songs have got really heavy processing and they're like really out there. And then there's like songs like that which are like chill. But then some of them are like some of the songs that I've enjoyed more.
Anything else? No. Gonna move on. What's the next?
To them, it's more like an R&B like type song.
R&B, rhythm and blues.
No.
Yeah.
Rhythm and bass.
R&B is rhythm and blues.
Yeah.
You're thinking of Akon. That's not R&B.
R&B is Rhys and buckets. Do you fancy a curry later?
Sure.
Just while we're sat here. I don't know why. I was listening to one of them songs. I thought I want a curry for me too. I think it's because I haven't eaten all day.
Yeah. Fantasize a bit
I
curry.
really want a pint as well. A pint and a curry. That'll cheer me up. So sorry, what's the song called? And now we get to the penultimate track of the album, Silver.
Oh, I like that one.
What did you reckon, Freya? Go on.
It was alright. It sort of just reminded me of like, I don't know, like a country song, but like really twisted, and like it should be in a horror movie. It did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It
get
was
what you
like
mean.
country, but then it sort of fused into something else.
Yeah,
It was
because
like,
it had the distorted.
Like
I
the
think that's still a slide guitar.
yeah.
It was just like sliding and going.
There's like the blasts of noise, wasn't
Yeah.
there?
It's very dystopian.
Yeah. It's quite sloppy as well. Like there was bits where like, guitars came in and they didn't.
Yeah.
They were. It wasn't like tight.
To a
like,
grid.
no.
No, I like that though.
Yeah, it was really
It's-
interesting.
Yeah. Kim's vocals are at the forefront now.
Yeah.
Can't really hear what she's saying. I heard her say silver.
I mean, that is the album.
That is the
album.
song name.
That is the song name. Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
It sort of followed on a little bit from Hey in a way
Yeah.
because it's like sort of going more towards that sort of genre, I guess.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see what the last song
Yeah.
does. Hopefully it carries on.
Yeah,
that
hopefully it
sort
carries
of
on
thing.
developing and doesn't just go back to screamy, shouty stuff.
Or just like some random like jazz
Yeah.
probably. The amount of genres that they've gone through in this
Yeah.
album. Anyone got anything to add? Nearly there, Freya.
One more.
And finally, to finish it off, Gouge Away. Christ. That's a very unresolved way to finish an album,
I
isn't
feel
it?
like you could go right back to the start.
Yeah.
And then it wouldn't feel out of place,
No. That might have been the idea.
I guess.
Yeah. It did feel sort of like bittersweet hearing like what the start of the album sounded like right at the end again.
Yeah.
After like Hay and Silver, which were very, different and going back to the old style.
True. I like the guitar sounds on that though.
Yeah.
What did you think, Freya?
I don't really know. It was just really groovy and upbeat, just like the first one was. I just wanted to start and end sort of in the same way.
Yeah. It's weird because it sort of led you one way with the last two, and then they go and drop that one, and then you're back to where you started. It's a bit strange.
Yeah. It feels like to me is like they just had a bunch of songs and either put an incredible amount of care or no care at all into the order of them and just released the album.
Yeah, there's
Like it doesn't feel like there's much of a structure to it, like as a whole.
Yeah, I feel like though I suppose that as the album goes on, it gets more and more
like mellow,
and like you sort of like get used to the sound more. But then
it definitely like has a contour, but then right at the end it comes back up.
Yeah.
Not as much, but it's like a gradient towards what it was like at the start of the album.
Yeah.
Like it's not Crackety Jones, but it's
the distortion in is it True? The distortion in Silver.
Yeah.
There's probably like a hint that we're going backwards, I guess.
Yeah. The bass had a lot of attack as well.
It did. You could hear the pick.
Yeah. That 3K was very prominent. The chorus as well had some interesting like little breaks and like unison like like back in. Which hasn't really been featured that much in a lot of the other choruses. They've been very like stable vocals saying what the name of the song is.
Yeah.
With like a steady like rhythm or something.
Yeah, it's like they sat in the studio for a few weeks and then they start to run out of money and they're like, you know what, we've got these, they're all right, but we're not, like, they're not ready, but we'll just go with it. Which, I mean, in some ways, that's cool, like, that works for some people. I think, like, if the amount of, like, the depth of, like, genres and styles that they showed off with that, like, they're obviously very versatile, because, like, most bands can't even do, like, 2 genres. They've done, like...
I think they were brave to do that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in the late 80s. Like,
Yeah.
Nothing like that had really...
Exactly, and you think, like, how many songs now you could listen to and they sound like they've got sounds from that album.
Yeah.
Like, they really did set a trend with that.
Especially like Nirvana, I guess.
Yeah.
With, like, the dynamic changes, like, on a dime like that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of, like, the guitar sounds, bands, like, indie bands like the Lavums and all.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of times they've got, like... There's, like, so many songs I can think of where you listen to the guitars and they sound exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's
And, like the repetitive guitar stuff, like, trying to get a riff that sticks in your head.
Yeah.
And then using that for the entire song is, like, very reminiscent of indie, like, stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing that isn't really is, like, the shouted vocals.
And the distortion, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, the to that level.
Yeah. There you go, that was Doolittle.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you for hearing our opinions on how the track sounded.
Yeah.
And our opinions on the album, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Freya, for being our guest.
This is the start of mine and Jack's podcast.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Let's go!
Yeah!
No.
Let's go!
That's a wrap!